Lewis Hart here today for the Ring Magazine. Delighted today to join with Ben Shalom here after the weigh-in of Adam Azim against Sergey Lipinets, ahead of a big night, a big step up for Adam tomorrow night. Before we do get into that, how's things, Ben? How are you?
I'm very well. Very well. End of a long week. Ready for fight night now. And really looking forward to tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously a massive step up for Adam. Before we do get touch onto it, what was the sort of deal with the scales there? I know they both missed weight, but was there an issue with the scales?
I think they both missed by about ½ a pound. And so they both weighed in the hotel and everything was fine. Sometimes when there's so many people on the stage, it flickers about ½ a pound over. And so I wasn't laughing at this. I was laughing at something else. And so look, both will be fine, and I look forward to a great fight.
Yeah, obviously a big step up for Adam tomorrow night. I'm taking on Sergey Lipinets. I guess how excited you are for the step up, and Adam to show that the levels they're improving now as you get closer to a world title.
Absolutely, I think it is a massive step up. I think luckily he performed so well last time against Hart Davis that we just thought it's time for world level. It's time for a serious test. And Sergey has only ever lost to elite talent. People talk about him being 35 years old. He's in good form. He's fresh. He's fit. He's not got that many miles on the clock, and he's ready to go. And they're extremely confident. Look, it's a huge step up. Make no mistake about that. And it's now just whether Adam can transition to world level, and that's what Saturday night is about.
Well, I did want to touch on a comment that Adam made, and there's been a lot of noise. Obviously, Dalton Smith fought last week, and Matchroom do have a show on Friday, and Hearn has done interviews, but there's been a lot of noise about the fight between them two, as they always will when they do fight. But Adam made comments saying a win over Sergey Lipinets would put him a level above Dalton. He said that on Sky.
Yeah.
Would you subscribe to that? Do you believe that as well?
Of course, I think it's the best opponent that either of them have faced. So to be doing it at 22 years old is pretty phenomenal. Look at it this way. What is Adam Azim going to be doing when he's 27, 28? Scary. So for him already to be ahead is pretty impressive. We don't want Dalton Smith as a yardstick. Yeah. We want Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. They're our yardsticks. They're where we need to get to. So we don't want to be looking at who we're passing by and who we're this. That's where we want to go, and that's the genuine truth. Yeah.
And when you look at the trajectory for Adam, do you look at names such as, I know Barry McGuigan always talks about Rayo Valenzuela, Richardson Hitchens, and names like that. They are, in the next couple of fights, they are a realistic proposition, would you say?
Absolutely. I think we just feel so confident that we have the best fighter in the division. You know, we believe, give it time, and this kid's going to be undisputed. He's that good, and people will laugh all the way along because they don't see what we see in the gym. They see glimpses. He is absolutely superb, but he's 22 years old. He's still getting used to headlining shows. He's still getting used to the pressure. He's still stepping up, and this is his first world level test. So I think people need to get behind Adam Azim rather than judging where he's up to versus other fighters. He's way ahead of anyone else at his age. And he's doing extremely well, and with other fighters getting towards the end of their career now, coming to retirement, we need stars coming through, and let's get behind Adam. He's a phenomenal talent that was born 10 minutes from here, and he's now headlining Wembley Arena against Sergey Lipinets.
There was comments that I wanted to get your reaction on from Eddie Hearn on IFL, and he said about that there was a slot for Adam Azim on April 26th, and there was three opponents for that with Pierce O'Leary, Sean McComb, and Montana Love, and all of them fell through on the Azim side. So
no, that's not true.
He said he turned down. That was a claim.
No.
He turned down O'Leary and McComb.
He talks absolute trash.
What was the deal then?
We agreed weeks ago to fight Montana Love. Yeah. It was a bit of a strange one because you're agreeing a fight before another fight. Never done that before. But we thought, you know what, for this card, we'll do it. And we agreed. A couple of weeks later, a few weeks later, or whatever it was, Montana Love wouldn't take the fight. Yeah. And that was their side. That was a boxer against Matchroom. Then it gets close to fight week. 2 weeks ago from Sergey Lipinets, and we were looking to replace opponents. In the end, we've got a fight on Saturday. We've got a Ramadan that starts on March the 1st. He has to fast every single day during March till Eid on April the 1st, and then has 3 weeks till fight week, and he's still got to fight on Saturday night. What promoter in his right mind can start signing contracts for fights that, one, are for the same money that he usually has, but also just what promoter in his right mind can start doing that? It's all a distraction tactic from the fact that Dalton Smith last week was fighting at a ridiculously low level, let's be honest. And so if I think, as I say, I've spelt out, we've got a fight this weekend, he's then got Ramadan, and then we can look at what's next. Did we agree to the Montana Love fight a long time ago? Absolutely. Did Montana Love pull out, or was he even ever offered the fight? Well, I don't know. I don't know.
You mentioned Ramadan there, and obviously, listen, if anyone didn't want to take a fight due to Ramadan, that's a completely fair reason. But I brought that to Hearn, and he said, look, they were fine to do that for preparation for Montana Love. They said Dalton Smith was offered, but they said they wanted more.
Dalton Smith
not offered, but they talked about it, but they said they wanted more.
Dalton Smith, what?
They wanted preparation. They wanted longer preparation for that. But when it comes to Ramadan, it wasn't, and it wouldn't be an issue for someone like Montana Love, which is what the claim that Hearn made. So
Montana Love was agreed a long time ago, and when a fighter's not in deep camp, it's easier to agree fights, sign off on fights. When a fight is 2 weeks away from Sergey Lipinets, and as I said, as the Ramadan situation and the opponent's changing, and suddenly different fighters are being suggested, probably fighters that are, let's be honest, in his rear view mirror at the moment. I think look, as I say, Eddie I get on with, and he's very good at what he does, and the key was to distract away from I believe Dalton Smith's opponent versus Adam Azim's opponent on Saturday night. I really don't want Adam Azim's career to be measured at the yardstick against Dalton Smith. For me, the fact that he's even compared right now at 22 years old, the fact that a lot of people believe that he's further ahead at this age says all that you need to know, and the fact that so many fighters want to fight him. They've been wanting to fight him since he was 19. They probably would have fighted him, when he was 12 if they could. And they've wanted to fight him for a long time, and it will happen. I don't want to get away from that. It will happen, and I believe it'll happen in the next 12 months.
So if you put, let's say, if Dalton Smith and Adam Azim is next, you confident that Adam wins that? Would you be confident that Adam would win that fight?
Oh, absolutely. And so now it's like,
so
why aren't we doing it next? Right? Okay. Money.
Okay.
Right. Who's gonna pay the amount of money that fight deserves? And that goes for Dalton Smith as well. Look, I got crucified when we didn't do Clarke after 6 fights. They then both changed their lives. Whether Fabio wants to admit it or not, completely changed their lives over 2 fights. The money that they earn, and so. And the same will happen, I believe, with Adam and Dalton when it happens at the right time. I think it's on Adam Azim's terms when that fight will happen. Of course, every fight that he has, he goes from 60% chance of winning to 70% chance of winning to 80% chance of winning, and they know that as well as we do. Adam's in his development stage, but still extremely talented and still on par, if not ahead of where Dalton is. And I don't even. It's frustrating because I really like Dalton Smith. He's got nothing to do with this. He's not even saying anything. Neither is Adam Azim. They both just want to get on with their careers. Let them get on. Let them develop. Let's get behind them both. They're both British fighters that we should get behind, and they will fight. And they'll fight at the right time.
So it's fair to say, like, if I was to make the observation that you would look at it in a more positive view, because the longer that fight gets built, the more it suits Azim, would be a reason.
Look, I think
rather than that.
Yeah, I think in any sport, someone's going to be better at 25 years old as they are at 22 years old. Do we have to explain that?
No, of course.
I believe a 22-year-old Adam Azim is better than a 28-year-old Dalton Smith. Yes, I do. Do I believe a 25-year-old Adam Azim is going to be miles better than a 22-year-old Adam Azim? Of course I do. Unless we're going to get paid an absolute fortune, which is what Adam Azim will get paid when that fight happens, then it makes zero sense. And everyone in boxing knows it. Eddie knows it. We know it. Everyone knows it. So the whole thing is just a nonsense. And as I say, let's get behind Adam Azim rather than looking to goad him and criticise him when he's doing things that are unprecedented in this country at this weight division. And phenomenal fighter, ran over.
just touching on there, you did mention about Dalton Smith's opponent. Was you? I know it was a one-round job, but something you wasn't impressed with?
No, it's not that. It's just I wouldn't have even said anything. I respect fighters. I respect anyone that gets in the ring. But every time he fights, it's like an Adam Azim promotion, and it's not from him. It's unfortunately, it's a very good way of distracting what's going on. Of course, you know, it wasn't the greatest opponent. I don't really care, but it was more. Don't talk about Adam Azim.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Did touch on a few fights on the undercard as well. Callum Simpson obviously makes his return. Yeah, I didn't know that was he's in there with someone that is really, really game tomorrow night.
Yeah, and it's probably woken him up a bit because, you know, 3 weeks ago he was headlining against Woodall, phenomenal performance, and most fighters after that headlined at home, all the tickets, all the decent money, everything. I've seen it so many times. They're off, they're on holiday, they're out drinking, they're this, they're that. He's in the gym on Monday morning. Yeah. He's going to get to the top. Like I've never been more convinced about a fight than Callum Simpson. Not just from his ability, but his approach to life and his approach to the sport. It's phenomenal. And to be ready to go again this quickly, no questions asked. You've got to love him, and he's got a really game opponent on Saturday night in Elvis.
In 2025, would there be an aim to make that Mark Jeffers fight? I know there was a potential to make Mark Jeffers against Kevin Saggio, who's been ordered to fight Christian and Billy. Would you aim to make that domestic clash between Simpson and Jeffers?
I think so. I think it's a fight that's inevitable. Two unbelievable talents in Britain, the best super middleweights in the country, both managed by the same guy who we work with closely, so it's difficult, but I think it will happen. I think for both of them, again, it's a massive fight. I'd like to see Mark Jeffers fight once before. I'd like to see him maybe win the European title, which is what we're targeting. And then I think that fight will make big sense.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, a lot of big news last week with the announcement, with the confirmed of Eubank Jr. and Ben. Yeah. There was comments that I didn't want to get your reaction to. It was a small clip from Chris Eubank Sr. And he spoke about always being in his son's corner, but he did speak about he sort of alluded to his not being happy with the rehydration clause, and he referenced fighters such as Nick Blackwell and Michael Watson with the dangers of boxing. Don't know if you would have seen the video, but if you had any comments on Chris Eubank Sr.'s, I guess, concern with that.
He's a father concerned about his son. These clauses aren't normal, but it's up to the fighters, and you know, look, a lot will be said on that, I'm sure. I don't want to bring a stain to the event that people have worked so hard on to make. I believe it's going to be safe. I was upset with the way it was put in and the way it was handled. Everyone knows that, but we're getting on with everyone at the moment. It's not something that should be commonplace in boxing when you agree to a weight division. It happens in the IBF, but at a higher weight. I think it's 12 pounds at middleweight. So I think you can't compare it to that. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I spoke to Frank Smith, and he responded to the comments that you would have made about it being a late thing that was in negotiations.
Yeah,
he said it was in November.
I don't know who he was talking to.
He was talking to me.
No, but who was he talking to in November?
Okay. Well, he wouldn't tell me, but he said discussions started in November.
With who?
It's not something he's going to tell me.
Okay.
Was it with you? I guess it can't be with yourself.
I didn't know about that. No.
Okay.
Don't think Chris knew about that, so not sure who he's talking to.
Okay, all right. On the card as well, big fight for yourself, Viddal Riley against Chev Clarke.
Yeah.
It's a fight that's always sort of been built between them two, two real good domestic cruiserweight titles for the British title.
Yeah.
And one you must be buzzing with.
Huge fight. And look, Viddal's going to steal the show that night. A star will be born. Grew up 8 minutes from Tottenham Hotspur. He's a massive Spurs fan. His whole ambition of this whole boxing career is to be respected, and to be respected as a great fighter, not a great personality. He's about to achieve both, and a Chev Clarke for the British title is an unbelievable fight, and I think it can steal the show. I think so many fans are looking forward to it. It's a fight that we've wanted for a long time. We're absolutely gutted that he's not fighting on Saturday night against Isaac Chamberlain, and so to be able to turn it round was special. And he's extremely focused, and we're looking to put on a big performance, and I'm very, very confident.
I guess what was the deal with that, because it come around quite quickly. I think Isaac Isaac Chamberlain pulled out, and then almost the day after there was negotiation. There was a leak that it could be on that undercard. So I guess what was the deal with that? Was it something that come around that quick?
We were just like the Adam Azim Montana Love fight. We were thinking Feb 1st, April 26th. You know, Viddal doesn't have Ramadan, so we were thinking he could still fight Isaac Chamberlain and then fight. And then fight Chev Clarke perhaps. It would have been tricky, but when Chev Clarke pulled out, Isaac Chamberlain pulled out, we tried to make the fight. It was very frustrating, and luckily we were able to secure the fight pretty quickly after that.
Yeah. So what's the deal now with Isaac Chamberlain? I know he's not your fighter, but does it leave him out in the cold a little bit?
I don't know. We've asked for clarity, and hopefully we'll get it soon.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Viddal did have doubts about that injury. I see him put a lot on Twitter.
All I'll say is we haven't received anything, but the reality. But what I will say about Isaac Chamberlain, without throwing him under the bus, is I've worked for him 2 or 3 years. He's never pulled out of a fight. He's always been game. He's always taken fights on late notice, and he's been in there with the very best. So it's completely out of character.
Yeah. Another fight I did want to ask you about the update for. Any recent movements when it comes to Ben Whittaker and a Liam Cameron fight? I know there was potential talk of Resorts World or Birmingham. Like, what's the deal now? Yeah,
I think we've resolved most of the issues, and I expect the fight to happen and be announced very soon.
Okay, exciting. Any news on the Caroline Dubois opponent yet?
Announced on Saturday night.
Okay, exciting times. Yeah. Ben, I think that's just about me done. A pleasure to speak to you. Really appreciate you taking time to speak to me. And all the best, mate. All the best on tomorrow night.
Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers.